morning, everybody.
Morning. Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Feel free to unmute and chat with each other. Unfortunately, my wonderful co-chair Jazz is unable to join us this morning due to a conflict. So I am acting as both.
Skiing. We know that she's skiing.
Yeah, right? Oh my
Right.
God. Her Instagram is just full of that all the time. I'm always so jealous. Like you can tell which of us has a toddler and which of us does not, because she always has these amazing photos of skiing, especially with her nieces and nephews, and they're adorable. But yes, she's actually not off skiing this morning. She's having a procedure, a dental procedure done. Lot less fun. But because of that, I am acting both as our person managing the weight room and doing introductions. So it's going to be just a couple extra minutes this morning while I let people in. So please feel free to say hello to the people you haven't seen in a while, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes.
Morning, Tiffany.
Morning, Nicole.
How are you?
I'm good, girl. You see my mug? You see I got a
Oh no.
This is like the most stylish mug I own, actually. So it's
I've got a bunch I can give you. Yeah, that was a nice
I
size.
think of as my Coffee and Connect mug. It's the extra large one.
Yeah. The problem with the black mugs is on the inside is that you can't, like I drink tea, so you can't tell how dark the tea that you're
But that's a plus, isn't it? That's a plus because with the white mugs, they always look dirty.
Shame, exactly.
True. True story. Yeah, I actually make my husband like scrub ours out with baking soda every couple of weeks just so we don't have the tea stains in them.
Oh.
The rough one.
We're letting a lot of stuff slide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now that we don't have other people using our mugs, we are not doing that. But when we had guests that like, you know, we wanted to be able to offer coffee to and not gross out.
Oh my God.
Oh man. So your little one's enjoying the snow?
Oh, well, so we're in Delaware, and we didn't get that much. I mean, we had a snow day last week. Well, so rest in peace to the snow day. So the past couple of days have been virtually Zoom.
Yeah.
I think we're knocking on Zoom number 2 in about another half hour.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been sad.
Yeah, my teenagers have no interest whatsoever in going out in the snow. So
No.
it's a shame.
Because it probably means shoveling, right?
It does mean shoveling for them. I've gotten them to go out for like 5 whole minutes, and then I go out there and like 3 men in the house, and then I have to go out and shovel the sidewalk.
Takes a lot.
Yeah.
The woman.
So. But they did have one snow day, and unfortunately it was the day a few weeks ago when all it did was sleet all day. And then the next day when it was beautiful and they could have gone sledding, they had a virtual day.
No, we don't.
Oh well. And the virtual days are kind of a joke anyway.
Dude.
My son's school had a virtual day and then a delayed opening for virtual. I'm not sure how that worked.
So that you can do the commute, obviously.
He told me it was because the teachers had planned for their every other day in person. He said, well, the teachers have their in-person plans that they then had to modify to virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that meant it needed to be 90 minutes of them changing up, talking to the computer instead of to a room. I don't know.
I don't know.
That happened to my kids this morning too. They were supposed to go in person on a 2-hour delay, and then we just got a call like 5 minutes ago that apparently the roads are so icy they don't want the the people coming in. So now they're on a 2-hour delay virtual today. So but that's okay, because I was actually really nervous about my son driving to school because I could see the roads were bad. So I'm kind of happy he didn't have to go in.
Yeah.
They didn't call the virtual delayed opening until 5 a.m. this morning. So I got woken up at 5 to say, it's okay. You don't have to be online till 9.
I was just waking the kids up to be like, all right, you got to get moving. And then the phone rang. I was like, oh, never mind. Stay in bed.
Kidding.
Do we have any news on Rebecca?
Oh, that's right.
No, I don't. Hopefully everything is going well. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that info from Julie. She was only on super briefly this morning to get us connected. But hopefully everybody's happy and healthy and thriving. And definitely for the March Coffee and Connect, which is coming up in just a couple weeks, we will have an update for you.
Awesome.
It's a
And
pretty
hopefully
great birth
pictures.
story.
And hopefully pictures. Yeah. All right. So I think we are going to say that anyone who joins in the weight room in the next 5 minutes is just going to have to sit and wait for a minute. While I get us started. All right, everybody, welcome. We are so excited to have you, as always, for our Women in Architecture Coffee and Connect series. We really love these, and from what we've been hearing, you guys really love them too. So that has been great. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ifri Escott. I'm one of the co-chairs of Women in Architecture. With this series, we are working to present you with some amazing women doing inspiring things in the hopes that it kicks off your Friday of this virtual time with something uplifting and exciting, and something for you to think about in your own career. So really quickly, just want to say a big thanks to our 2021 annual sponsors. So far, we've got Jigsaw, Ballinger, Keystone Hood, Jacobs, and WRT supporting our programming, keeping our programming affordable as well as high quality, and supporting our mission to cultivate and promote the excellence of women design professionals. If you or your firm are interested in adding your name to our list of sponsors, please feel free to reach out. We would love to hear from you. Some of what they're sponsoring includes an EDI workshop on managing up as a person who is in the minority, or at least does not identify as the same identity as the leadership in your firm, whether that be gender or race. Also our upcoming mental health and leadership, where we are learning not just how to manage our own mental health, but also support the mental health of the people that we are managing, are getting almost fully covered by our sponsorship. So we are thrilled to be able to have some amazing people coming in to talk to us about this and to be able to bring that to you in a way that means that everyone can participate. So our next event coming up on the calendar is our next Coffee and Connect, actually, with Soha St. Just from Jacobs. We are really excited to be hearing from her. Registration is available. We were actually super organized and got that up before this event. So if you go to the AIA calendar, you can register for that now. We are excited to hopefully see you then. We are also excited, extra excited, for today's speaker, Tiffany Millner, AIA and NOMA, recipient of AIA Philadelphia's 2021 Thomas U. Walter Award. Tiffany's been a registered architect since 2009, and she is also a wife, a mother, an artist, an author, director, graphic designer, and manager of a 5-piece multi-genre band. So really, this woman does everything. After serving as a project manager and architectural designer at JKRP and VITETTA, Millner founded a design consultancy, AUX Collective, in 2010. She currently devotes her energy as a consultant with a focus on nonprofits and artist development. Tiffany has participated in the ACE Mentor program since 2007 as a volunteer team leader, and then also serving on several support committees at the local and national level. She grew the ACE Mentor program of Greater Philadelphia into one of the most successful in the country by providing opportunities for young people interested in a career in architecture, construction, and engineering. She's also participated as a mentor in the AIA's Architecture and Education program, of which we are huge fans here in Philadelphia. Tiffany actively participates in discourse about diversity and inclusion, moderates AIA diversity discussions, and serves on the AIA's National Diversity Council from 2014 to 2016, and publishes articles on the topics of women and minorities in the design industry. She is a very busy lady. As the 233rd Black female architect, she published a book, 200 something, to share her journey of navigating the architectural profession. Is going to share more of that journey with us today. So please join me in warmly welcoming the speaker that we are so excited to hear from, Tiffany Millner.
Thank you. How can I share my screen?
Hopefully.
I can't share my screen, guys.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. We got
Good?
it.
Okay.
Got it. Got it, girl. All right. Can y'all see that? All right. So thank you. Thank you, Effie. Thank you, Women in Architecture. Thank you, Philadelphia, AIA Philadelphia. Thank you guys for embracing me. My career journey is unorthodox, to say the least, and it is actually beyond humbling to know that folks are actually watching. So the road to and through the Thomas U, how did I get here? So this is a journey about reinvention and the discovery of personal power through a series of career challenges. I just wanted to have a real conversation about what it really takes to be recognized and to be honored, because this is the path less traveled. I'm so thankful for the Women in Architecture group that you guys thought of me for this event, because my goodness, this is right on time. And it's really time to have a real conversation about working in, for, and with the industry. All right, so what does it mean to me? It means that now I have this amazing platform and opportunity to share my journey with everyone. I've spent almost 20 years building things for and with other people, and you really never know, even or even if you would ever get the chance to kind of tell your story. So this is pretty cool. But no good deed goes unpunished. So now I have the opportunity to share a cup of coffee with you guys and have a candid conversation. The AIA Philadelphia recognized the impact that the ACE Mentor Program of Greater Philadelphia was making in the community, and I just happened to be at the helm of the ship at the time. The program has grown substantially over the years, and this was absolutely a team effort. The program has an amazing set of volunteers, school champions, board members, and I am just so fortunate to work with each and every one of them. So as some of you may know, last year I passed the leadership baton to my colleague, Melissa Raffle, to lead us to the promised land. But just know that I am actually still involved and will continue to be a change agent for our Greater Philadelphia affiliate always. So with that being said, along this road, I've learned a few key things that I just wanted to share quickly with you guys this morning. So number one, never burn a bridge. Intentionally. Do what you can to work it out. If you can't, at least you could say you tried. You just never know how you may be able to support each other in the future. Seriously, keep that one in your back pocket. Believe it or not, it's actually possible to get fired on your day off twice by the same employer. So we'll come back to that a little later. And number three, diversity is actually not the problem. Inclusion is. So I just want you guys to stick with me for this. We're going to break it down. All right. All right. So as a registered architect, I left firm life in 2013 and then systematically started to synergize all of my passions, all the things that truly interested me, something that I could actually make some money with. But while I was working in a firm, I would actually intern as a photographer at a photography studio at night, and I learned about running a small business. I was pretty much forced to learn the entire Adobe Creative Suite, in addition to photography, videography, and web design. So, I just started to get hired as a consultant by former colleagues after I left. Previous employers called to, do various things, whether it was architectural consulting, photography, shooting headshots, graphic design, community synergy. I got hired to develop like a videography program to, aid in a community revitalization project. It was amazing. So in the fall of 2014, I actually started working for AIA Greater Philadelphia. And the program at the time needed a little bit of a rebranding or a reintroduction to the industry. So we began picking it apart bit by bit and rebuilding on it. And rebuilding it is focusing efforts on student recruitment, which obviously, led to more mentor retention and mentor support, and then ultimately reaching out to our alumni and having them come back, hopefully as mentors and board members. So we started to think outside of the box and really challenged ourselves to be better advocates, really, for the community. So we engaged ourselves in more community synergy projects, and we learned how to be good stewards, both on the staff level and with the students and mentors. We competed in national competitions. We challenged ourselves to grow. Our students competed with others from all over the nation, some with far more resources and support systems, but yet we still achieved to get national acknowledgement. Over the years, we started to see student recruitment ultimately and retention in the urban areas. We started to see it decrease, and this is, steady a little bit, over the years. And so, we're an after-school program, and some of the students that we serve have very extremely complex lives with responsibilities at home or even taking on jobs to support their families. So I guess it was maybe a year or so ago, ACE 360 was born. This was our effort to build a strategic partnership with the School District of Philadelphia in order to work with the students at school during school hours in their comfort zone. So we can kind of have it as an equal playing field where now the students are going to be expected to not only come to see us after school, but hey, now we're going to bring the mentors to you on your turf, essentially. So as a culture, we've been asking, as an ACE culture, we've been asking students to make arrangements to travel to us at various professional offices in the cities for years, but we never really considered how much of a culture shock this really could be for students. Keep in mind, some of the students that we're working with, they may have never even left like a 6-block radius of their neighborhoods. And we were expecting them as professionals, as mentors, as, obviously guardians of the industry. We're expecting them to just adjust at like the drop of a dime to a corporate or a business culture instantly, and this could really be a bit overwhelming, for a student. So just by taking a step back and shifting our mindset and just being open to share the space, essentially, half the time we'll be working in an office or a job site, and the other half the time will be spent learning soft skills and receiving additional professional development, allowing our students to gain confidence, with their, abilities and trust, ultimately with our mentors, so that when they do make it to the office and they do travel and take that journey in the center city, it just won't be as overbearing. So this is an instance where an organization that champions the underrepresented actually took a look at our own culture and how we operate. And then we made adjustments to try and, provide a more inclusive ACE experience. So ACE identifies the students, we engage them in the process, and then we provide them with opportunities, scholarships, and a national network to start off on right out of high school. I wish I had something like this. It's an amazing foundation. So ACE provides the diversity, but we're seeing where academia and industry are slow at developing a culture to actually nurture and retain this diversity. There are many instances where we're seeing our ACE alumni hit a wall in only their first year due to just pure culture shock. It really is. Exclusive and extremely competitive environments, lack of support, and we're identifying students and making more of a concerted effort and having them prepared for the next steps, but there's still obviously a breaking point. So what's really happening in academia and in industry? So as we all know, unsupportive and exclusive academic and work environments happen. Seriously, nothing is changing anytime soon. Our industry is one of the oldest yet slowest to diversify and actually be able to retain the diversity. Oops, excuse me. So let's start with academia. I just have to give a shout out to Taya, I don't know if you're on, just for recommending this statistical reference and lecture to us yesterday during our JADE meeting. It was enlightening, to say the least. So Whitney M. Young Jr. Award winner Pascal Sablon recently gave a lecture highlighting statistics from NCAR regarding enrollment and graduation from architecture school. So apparently only 5% of student applications for architecture are coming from Black students. And then only 3% actually graduate. So already we're losing about 2% of our applicants, either through the rigors of the curriculum, financial burdens, or lack of support and inclusion. So what happens to the 3% when they actually enter the industry? No. So let's take a quick cross section of what diversity actually looks like while navigating a career path in the design and construction industry. So well, by definition, I just happen to be the diversity. So using myself as a case study, I see we can all agree that I am a minority. I'm female, I am African-American, I am in that age bracket, registered architect, 233, and I do not like chocolate. So again, I must be the minority. So just using myself as a case study, I can actually pinpoint 3 key moments in my own short 20-year career that, due to lack of inclusion, my personal career path has shifted and led me to where I am now. And believe it or not, as we go through these, I am honestly thankful for each one of these situations, because they're a reminder that no matter what mountain you overcome, there's going to be another one. And it really is all about personal growth and resiliency. So a little crowd participation. I know you could put the little high five up on the screen. Raise your hand if any of these things have ever happened to you. Passed over for a promotion. Anybody, let's do it. Yeah, man. Yep. Good morning, guys. So how did I react? I actually said nothing and let the situation eat at me for a couple of years. I was working in a firm. I literally developed, and cultivated a client for years. But at that point, it seemed like the client wanted to work with somebody that looked like the total opposite of me. So they went with a white man. But, this is one of those situations where it's like, gosh, I said something. No, I didn't. I just walked around, feeling undervalued, underappreciated. And, you become the moody Black girl in the office. And I actually ended up leaving that firm. But we're still in contact to this day. And we support each other on various levels. So, at the time, I got to say, I understood their position as a business, but, it didn't mean it hurt any less. So that's just one thing I had to live with. All right. So after 2 years of trying to make it work, after that happened, staying in that comfort zone, I quit this job on a Thursday and I cashed out my 401k. And I actually started consulting full-time and continued to build my network, which was ultimately the catalyst to where I am now. All right, number 2, pregnancy discrimination. Not hired for a position or received any type of discrimination because you were with child. All right, so how did I react to this one? Well, ultimately, I had the baby. But, I gotta say, I went into this interview and I knocked it out the park. I probably shouldn't even said anything. I just felt compelled to tell them because the position needed me to start at the exact same time that I was actually due to give birth to my first child. So I interviewed, but after weeks of no response, I actually had to contact the organization myself and say, hey, was the position filled? And I received a mobile text like on a Saturday morning. Yes, we went with someone with more experience. Enjoy your time with your baby. Ooh, so I was like, oh, okay, great. So after this incredibly time missed opportunity, this is when I went on to strengthen the Greater Philadelphia affiliate. And it really became my petri dish, for community involvement and all kinds of things that I just had to get off my chest. And then I had another baby. So and that guy shows up. All right. So number 3, this is a good one. So ladies, I was forced to resign and then terminated from a company after asking for a raise based on work performance, all right? So, anybody? No, that happened to anybody? Okay, so how did I handle this? Well, it's let's see. Well, actually, this is actually very true. Still trying to figure this one out, because believe it or not, this actually happened to me the day after I accepted the Thomas U. Walter Award, ladies. So if anyone has any advice, I am totally here for it. And yes, this is real life. After 2 weeks, there was no negotiation, no counter offer. And it seems to me if you valued this person, or at least the diversity that they brought to the table, that would have at least earned, me the respect to have a conversation. But I was actually told that my request for additional compensation would have been better received if based on relieving family or household burdens rather than focused on my work performance. You could have just said no, but that's okay. We're here now. So there have been 3 instances throughout my career alone where there was an element of diversity in an environment. And then for one reason or another, the company or the organization's culture revealed that they either did not value the diversity or it really wasn't truly of importance in the first place. I've seen a lot of energy put into the optics on social media about supporting diversity, especially in the African American communities. But what really needs to change cannot be seen. Culture is your brand. And until our industry really starts looking at the core of its issues for any efforts in diversity, we will be met with challenges, again, in inclusion and retention. So, can we talk about this? Can we have some coffee and talk about this? Has anyone ever witnessed or experienced exclusion in your career? And what did you do about it? Did you have the flexibility and the resiliency to make a course correction if need be? Did you speak up for yourself in order to provoke a change? Were you an advocate for yourself or for others? Have you ever just were forced to step outside of a comfort zone? I don't know. Let's go. Let's talk about it. I went first.
I'm going to put my video on at the expense of being really sweaty on screen on my plane. But my name is Samina, and I'm kind of new here. I've been part of the AIA Philadelphia for a while, but just feel the bandwidth to kind of try to join things now and try to log on to these different talks. And so I feel compelled to contribute to this discussion, which is, so I was working at a consulting firm in New York, focusing on building enclosure. And the first year, at the time, there was one principal, like recognized principal. And at the time, what I didn't know was that that person was going through incredible personal challenges themselves. But it impacted me in that I navigated that year, not really being able to be staffed consistently on projects and, being kind of a third string person on projects that were really organized around being, an associate and a technical person. And then I was like the third technical person. And so it was very hard to learn what I needed to learn. I had to seek people out in the office. It wasn't really organized, how to get this incredibly technical material mastered. And so I would seek people out and just bug them and try to learn, get on their projects, figure out what I was supposed to be reading, what standard should I read? What should I do? And so at the end of the year, I had succeeded in getting myself, I worked on projects, but just sort of always under the radar and, trying to there was no kind of process to actually talk to anybody. I would find myself chasing my boss down the hall while he was getting coffee. That was the process to get on his calendar because there was no calendar. Like there was no really way to like address them. So finally I organized, there was also no review process. So I had come from a technology background in my first 4 years before graduate school in architecture, and I organized my own review. And so I put together a spreadsheet, and I put together like what I thought the core skills of the company were, and how I had either like what I had done. And then I emailed people that I worked with, and I told them not to email me, but to email my boss, like so that it would be a blind thing. Like I was organizing this myself, and everybody was like, oh, you know, who I asked were like, it was like bizarre, you know, for a year review. And then so finally I succeeded in getting a meeting with my boss, and I sat down with this like spreadsheet and numbers and like all these metrics, you know. And he said to me, and at the time, because I graduated from architecture school at 29, so I was really, you know, the biological clock was ticking. I have a disabled husband, so that was part of my, you know, concern. And I said, you know, I identified things in the firm that I wanted to do, like international experience and site fabrication. His response was such a roar. Yeah. That was the first thing. Then he said, okay, you know, in our firm, we really asked for a 3-year commitment. So he was asking for, it's not formalized, but we're asking for this commitment. And at the time, there was no, and so when I said like, I'd like to do, you know, is there any chance that I could do these fabrication visits in Singapore? He was like, I don't think that's gonna be really possible. Within a year, a guy who was a year after me in school, 6 foot tall, rotund white man, was going to Singapore, had joined the, you know, so it's just like, and I'm just giving like a very specific instance where, you know, it was just so challenging to get, you know, visibility, to get on projects. And then fast forward 3 years, I worked my ass off. I took on projects where people were leaving. I was out on the site by myself, and I cultivated a client. And then I was promoted to associate. I also took my exams completely on my own, like taking office breaks and like trying to hide it, because it wasn't like they were supporting me in getting my license. So I did that. And then they found all this out, and they promoted me, and I was pregnant. And this client that I had worked on many projects on was getting 3 huge marquee buildings, and these were with curl wall fabricators that were sort of the A-list that I had never worked with. And I just broke down. I mean, honestly, because I wanted the client, you know, so I came back after giving birth, like really quickly. And just really quickly, I just didn't have support. Like it was like, well, we're doing you a favor because we're letting you work. So just handle it and, you know, work around us still. And you're not here enough to like really, you know, do the job. And at the time there was a project manager, a owner's rep who was like, let's accelerate this phase. And everything was accelerated. And I just ended up having to take a leave of absence because I had basically a delayed, you know, postpartum depression, which was horrible. It was horrible. So sorry, that was a big soapbox.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
it's almost like you got to just stop playing the game. You kind of just have to step away for your own personal sanity. Sometimes it really happens. It really,
And a lot of women have that experience with postpartum depression, not starting until they try to return to work as well. And that's why like the support is so important after you come back.
So Samina, are you off now? Or I guess my question is like, after that happens, like, how do you come back from that? You know, because it's like, that's a common thing that happens to so many people. So it's like, how do you re-enter after that?
Well, I'll tell you, I was determined to re-enter our office. I was like, I don't care how hard it is, I'm going to go back there and show my face. And I felt extremely, from a culture, I felt like like a pariah. Like I felt a little bit like a leper, honestly. I was like, the office moved. I was put in a like back windowless corner. Like it was really hard. And essentially after a year, so I was in New York at the time, I started interviewing, and it was a crazy time too, because we had to decide whether we were going to have a second child. I started interviewing down in Philadelphia, and everything like came together at like one moment where we found a house here, and then my company said, well, we can't have you be associate on projects anymore, which was ridiculous. So I ended up like, there's a transition when you roll off projects, right? I just left. And so I've been essentially independent for 8 years, and I've been licensed since 2009, but it's taken me until last year. I carried insurance since 2016. It's taken me until last year to decide whether I'm going to try to be a solo practice architect for real, like take on clients, take on that liability, and have the courage. And I'm out here in Swarthmore, so I'm in the burbs, I'm dealing with like Delco, county, and I'm just facing like, every time I meet with contractors, like I've worked on a drawing set for my own house renovation for 8 years, basically because I'm so fearful of not being able to control the conversation from the point of view of being 3 times as prepared. Like I can't go in, because I started to have these conversations, years ago with contractors, and they'd come in and they'd be like, no, you don't do it the way you're talking about, like you're not a partner. We're going to tell you how it's done. And so to overcome the mansplaining, I have, just worked myself to the bone. And now I'm like ready. Like it's like I have to convince myself I'll never know everything, but I also have to convince myself it's like if you talk to me about something, I will be an informed participant in the discussion, and you can't just steer me into whatever you want to do. So it's taken a long time, and I find myself in that spot of like, I'm on my own, I'm who I am. I'm a woman, I'm a brown person, like, and I want to build stuff. I mean, the thing is, I really want to build stuff. So I had a lot of like personal reckoning over the years of like, am I in the right thing? Like, this is really hard. And, just thinking like, am I ever going to make money? I don't know. I mean, but it's coming together sort of slowly, solo practice architecture, nobody wants to pay you $1 zillion for anything. So it's a lot of work, I always joke, like, if I make more than a Starbucks manager, it's like really great. Like in my actual hourly like calculation. So I don't know, that's where I am.
Well, we are thrilled that you decided to join us, and hopefully we'll be able to help you out with that moving forward.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
It sounds like the classic contractor move. We're doing renovations on our house, and I just had a contractor tell me that the fact that I could fit my hand in the seam of the vapor barrier wasn't a problem. I was like, I don't think you're stopping vapor if my hand can go through it. So you are definitely not alone on that one. Anybody else have a story they want to share? Yeah, Toby. Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Many years ago, I was teaching at a school of architecture, and I was their overseas liaison officer for their overseas students, which meant I was the go-to person if they had any problems. And one day, right before a faculty meeting, the dean called me in and said, I just went to Malaysia to recruit more Malaysian students for our school. And I was riding in the cab with my counterpart, and he asked who was the overseas liaison officer. And when I told him that it was Toby Israel, he just about fell out of the cab and said that if I had anything to do with the Malaysian students, that he would pull them all out of the school. And so he told me this. And so, okay, so we went into the faculty meeting, and I brought this up because it was obviously because I was Jewish, and it was an anti-Semitic culture. So none of the faculty said anything. except finally the head of the faculty said, tell them that they can take their students and go get stuffed. And since this was England, excuse my French, the translation is tell them that they can go fuck themselves. So that was very brave of him. And I did write a letter to the dean pointing out that that was anti-Semitic, because I was living in the back of beyond, where I was probably the only Jewish person that a lot of people met. And I never heard back from the dean, but my responsibilities were never kind of put my way again. They were kind of, behind the scenes taken away from me. So I did end up leaving the school eventually and the country eventually for other reasons as well. But that was something that really stuck with me.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't even.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you still working in academia now?
Well, I'm a freelance academic writing a book about women and design and the challenges they face.
Hey, how about it?
Love to know when the book comes out.
I know. Important work. My goodness. My goodness. Nicole, what happened to you with your pregnancy?
Pregnancy. Well, looking back, I've been in Philadelphia since I think 2000. And I've experienced quite a bit of the, I've always worked with all men. It's just the way the industry is, especially from Central PA. And then I moved to Philadelphia. So I've experienced a lot of obvious and not so obvious aggressions, microaggressions, just subtleties. When I was pregnant, so my first pregnancy, I was at a firm that basically, gave no support or anything. They just assumed it was a big South Philly firm. Tiffany holds up her mug. And they were all just convinced that, when you get pregnant and you have a kid, you stay home. And I'm just like, you don't know me very well. Why would I stay home? I didn't get a degree in early childhood education. And none of my female relatives ever have stayed home, really, unless they were. So, at any rate, so the second pregnancy was very interesting because I just moved to a firm and I was brought on and when I was at VITETTA, I had been one of the co-project managers on the $270 million convention expansion. And we had a team in-house of 10, and we worked with two other architecture firms, consultants. And then I was hired to work on this, $3.2 billion project in Atlantic City. And I was hired as a project manager. And shortly thereafter, and my acceptance letter said that we would discuss the title of associate after 6 months of being there. And so I started working on this project. Over time, the project got up to 65 people in-house working on the project. And I got surprisingly pregnant. Surprise! It was completely unexpected, but it happens. So, which was fine. I mean, so I go on. I was very pregnant at one point, and they were going to announce the spring promotions, and they came in, and two of the principals pulled me aside and said, "We just wanted to let you know, because this was well over 6 months and no word about promotion. We just want to let you know that you're not going to be one of the people named for promotion, and it's because you haven't been here 12 months. And I'm like, I've been here 10 months. I don't know. I was just like, in shock. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with this big belly right here. At any rate, and what I noticed about that firm in particular, where I eventually became a principal and then have since left, was that with all the different types that when I was not given opportunities, like of course, I've been asked to do a certain job and they said, oh, we can't give you that job because it's for a Korean firm. And well, that one, they didn't even tell me. I did the proposal, and then next thing I know, the white guy is going to meet with the client because they're Koreans and Koreans don't work with women, which I had to figure out on my own. And then they just didn't say anything. And then, you know, lots of times I asked if I could go travel for this project. Oh, no, we don't want to charge the client, you know, an extra money because you'd have to have your own hotel room. And I'm like, yeah. And so, you know, these things happen, these stupid things. And then I don't see so often. And what I've discovered is I left. I leave, and because there are other firms out there that aren't like that. There are firms out there that make no provision whatsoever for women coming back unless you ask and you say, I want to work part-time. My husband and I, after we had our baby, we worked part-time because the daycare wouldn't take until it was 6 months. So we each worked, each of us and our babysitter would only work from 8 to 2 because she was pregnant herself. So for the first 6 months, or well, 3 months, because I took the 3 months off unpaid, of course. And we worked 32 hours or 28 hours every other week to be with the kid for the first 3 months. And any firm worth their salt, and of course we had to go in and tell them this is what we were doing. We were at a position where we could do that. We just went in and told them. And it's only for 3 months. And then you come back 40 hours. And I'm not working 50 hours, I'm working 40 hours. But I have had so many other women in particular tell me that they don't believe that women who don't work 40 hours a week should be named associate because they aren't putting in the hours. And I said, that's bullshit. Just flat out. And so, you know, you have to find another firm. The firm I'm at now, I'm at JKRP, is very accommodating. And I think that's because they realize that, you know, in particular, pregnancy it's a short-term thing. I mean, you're pregnant for a short while, the baby's a baby for a short while. And then, you know, 12 years later, they basically take care of themselves and don't want to be around you. So, you know, you got plenty of time and there's life after children. So any firm worth their salt recognizes that architecture is a long career. And I think the difficulty that I find is how to stay interested. Like you've had a very varied career, Tiffany, and how do you find that variety and that interest in what we do to stay, you know, having fun with it. And that's the hard thing, along with all the, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, you can't do this and you can't do that. In which case I say, okay, well, maybe I haven't burned bridges, but I've certainly turned my back on a few people. And I just go.
I know. It's about fun and the creativity, the course correction, you know, just stepping out. You left, right? You left that firm.
Well, and you know, a lot of people think I'm fairly outspoken, and at times I can be. So usually when I'm not thinking about it, it just comes out. But one of the best things I ever did was that, you know, 4 years later, I still hadn't been named associate. Even everyone I worked with just assumed I was. And so I went in with a letter, you know, a list, a one-page list, because I knew they don't have tolerance for more than one page. And I listed all the things that I did for my projects, all the things I did for my clients, all the things I did for the firm, all the things I did for the community.
Wow.
And I went in and I made an appointment with the two principals. And of course, the one was late and the other one had to leave early. So I got a combined 5 minutes with them. And I said, this is why I think I need to be named a senior associate. And of course, the knee-jerk reaction is, well, we can't name you a senior associate. We haven't named you an associate. I'm like, you're a principal. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Sure.
But that, and then the fact that there were one client and one other architect who was in the fellows committee, basically told my principal that I was something they should pay attention to. So having those advocates who call your boss. Yes, I really do believe that with women in particular, and I was told this by another young woman in my office recently, that women get promoted based on their proven track record and men get promoted based on their potential.
Huh.
And as a principal, I have seen that time and time and time again,
Yeah.
that's sort of the attitude. So
Absolutely.
anyway.
That's interesting because I mean, when Samina just talked about like how she stepped in and had her own list, you know, this is what I've done, this is what I'm worth, you know, and then you've done it. I did the same thing. You didn't get fired. I literally asked for a raise the same way. Has anyone put on, we got 10 minutes left. Has anyone put on their big girl pants and asked for a raise and literally like either got it or were met with the door twice? Like, how do you like?
Okay, Casey, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, man.
You want to share your story?
Please.
Yes and no. I need to just both echo what Nicole said about the blip that pregnancies really are in a career. When I was working on my master's, I did a diagram to talk about the impact of pregnancy on my career to sort of, you know, land where I am. And I left the practice of architecture after my second for a number of reasons. But I remember being really intentional about my decision to leave the firm I was at the time and saying, I'm going to go in and ask for everything I need and I want. And I was told no. And I said, okay, thank you very much. And so I left the practice, and I think I realized sort of when your kids get to that point that they don't, you know, need you, which is like the 2 to 3 range. Obviously, you're still involved, but I went, whoa, what did I do? So I had to go back for my master's to really redefine my career.
Wow.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about, you know, pregnancy and all that. And I mean, I've definitely dealt with that. But also for me, I was the first in my family to have a college degree. So for me, I just wanted to speak to also coming into an office without having any office exposure. Like when I was younger, my parents didn't have an office to bring me to. My dad brought me to a power plant, which is where I would wear a hard hat. So that kind of like coincides. And that's where like a construction site can be a comfort zone for me. But I didn't have that comfort zone in an office. So that is something that I felt like I needed to learn. And I did feel that culture shock because it's such a different environment. It's not a place where you can really just speak up all the time and speak your mind. Like you have to be strategic. And it's definitely something that needs to be learned. And it's tough to learn that because people do get impressions from you.
Yep.
And when you act out of term in an office in a sense, or don't act like the norm, you know, that leaves an impression on some people. So I think it's important to be in an environment where there's not judgment, you know, to find that group or those mentors that are going to allow you to have those missteps and teach you how to, you know, form them for just how to act better, not like act better, but how to be more strategic about it, you know, how to play the game, I guess, a little bit better. And then I feel like that's how, like, once you learn how to play the game, then maybe you can change the game a little, you know,
Yeah.
and you can bring in other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is real life, Janice.
Absolutely. And actually, my raised story of going in and negotiate for it is totally along those lines. Actually, 2 of the women that we're going to have as speakers doing workshops with us later this year, I had the opportunity through my university. They have this amazing alumni career development program that you can attend these webinars, get career coaching, and learn about these things. And both of these women do presentations specifically on, as a woman or as a minority, how do you negotiate because you will be heard differently from a white man. You can go in and say the exact same words that worked for a white man and you will get fired or get told no or all these things. So how do you present yourself in a completely different way? And I was terrified of going in to ask for a raise, even though I knew the dude with fewer qualifications sitting next to me was getting paid $15,000 more than I was. And after going through that training, went in, had the conversation, didn't get 15K, but, you know, did get a raise and got told, okay, we're going to, you know, see if we can make up that difference in the next few annual raises over the next several years. And it is so much about just learning how to talk to them in a way that you will be heard and in a way that these people are going to be able to like hear what you're saying without feeling threatened.
Absolutely.
And also hear what you're saying without saying, oh, that's cute, and patting you on the head and sending you on your way. Right. So that's why I'm super excited about our programming for this year for WIA, is because these are two women who like personally impacted my career trajectory. And I feel like there are so few women. I mean, there are even women at my firm who, you know, part of why it took me so long to go in and ask for a raise is because, you know, one of the women who'd been at the firm longer, who had gone in to ask, basically got told, well, why do you think you're special?
Yeah.
Right. And like, that was the response. So I was terrified to do it. And it wasn't until like I'd gone through that. And then I, you know, was hearing them say in this training, the things that I knew that this other woman at my firm had said in her conversation with management, as things that like, coming from a man, that's going to be heard one way. Coming from a woman, they're going to be heard in a completely different way. That's going to make them think that, you know, you're not as professional, or you're taking this personally instead of thinking about it as professional, and that sort of thing. So, you know, it's like absolutely that coaching, that learning these skills, it is a, you know, a game or a skill set, and, you know, it's, it can totally make the difference. And it's unfortunate that, you know, just like earlier we were hearing, like, you have to be 3 times better. You have to know the skills. You can't go in and float on charisma and personality, because, you know, that's just not, it's not going to be seen as like, whoa, you're such a go-getter, in the same way that it would be if, you know, some young hotshot white dude went in and said the same stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So we're super excited about that. And yeah, I'm seeing some amazing stuff coming up in the chat about salary difference and why this is such an important thing. And it's been so great hearing all the personal stories today. I am aware that we're coming up on 10 a.m. So, you know, we aren't going to kick everybody out right away, but at the same time, I did want to give Tiffany a chance to give us a few closing words, if she'd like to. And also to remind everyone, next Coffee and Connect is March 5th. We're going to be talking to Soha St. Just, and we're really excited to hear from her. So we would love to see you again. And thank you for spending your Friday morning with us.
Thank you. Thank you for here, guys. I'm just going to pop some links. This is what I do. These are the things that I am currently involved with. Again, just to leave you guys with a few quick, you know, lessons learned along this journey. Never burn a bridge. I've quit a job twice and still have keys to the office. Understand that there is really no price for your soul. Understand your value, know your value, add tax to it. If they fire you, that's fine. Another door will open up for you. But you need to understand your value and who you are. Always stand up for yourself, and make this is a personal journey, and understand that no one's going to advocate more for you than you, and only you can fight that fight. So just make sure you prepare yourself for it, and never be afraid to try something new. You never know how your training in architecture is really going to make something more unique, more creative. I've always said that my education in architecture is probably the most well-rounded. I learned how to think, how to be a problem solver. So if you put that mindset into anything, you will be successful. And that's it. That's me. Thank y'all.
Thank you again, Tiffany. It was wonderful.
Thank
you
you
everyone for joining us. And thank you also to the gentlemen in our audience today. It is so important to have you here as allies, hearing this conversation and able to identify with what your female colleagues are experiencing. So thank you for joining us. We
Absolutely,
in no way...
and thank you. And I'm certainly a very good friend of Tiffany's and a huge supporter. So, and the conversation is very helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, we in no way mean to exclude anybody or make anyone feel uncomfortable, but very frequently we find we are women only in the room when we have these events. So it's great to see some non-female identifying people joining us this morning. So thank you guys, and thank you ladies. I am gonna have to jump off myself, but I will leave the meeting open if anybody wants to be able to hang out and chat a little bit more. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Hi. Hi.
And Tiffany, it was interesting. You brought up whether anyone negotiated for a raise, because I don't know that I ever have. I've always just said, "Oh, thank you very much," and you know, I was very disappointed to find out that even when I was named principal, the other white guy that I was named principal with, who, as it turns out, got registered the exact same day I had. So we got registered the same day. Was up until the day we were named principal, he was earning $1,000 more than me. And that's why I put in that chat, because I looked it up. Because I get so pissed about that. Because I mean, I know it actually been larger when I started, and it decreased, but $1,000. I'm like, $1,000, right? They didn't ask him to be project manager of the $3.2 billion project. They hired me specifically. He worked under me. So,
that's because they wanted to get done right, Nicole. They wanted to get done right. That's all.
Here's my question.
They took a chance. They took a total chance. But
did that person have to go in with a list of everything that they've done? That's what I don't get is
no, he was named associate, and then he was named senior associate when I was pregnant, and they said, "Oh, we're not going to promote you." And then of course the Great Recession happened, and they were laying associates off like crazy. And so, it was just like he'd been there, he had a proven track record, and that was that. Yeah. And but that was one firm. But the thing that I was at that firm for 12 years. Most of the firms I've been at, I didn't stay 5. I think I was at VITETTA for 5+, and that's because I had the kid. I wanted to leave like well before that. I know, it's like, get me the hell out of here. But mostly because of the attitudes. Whenever I saw, okay, I'm not going to get the opportunities I want here, I need to find. And so many people, especially at VITETTA, are like, the grass is not greener on the other side. I'm like, the grass has got to be greener on the other side.
Gotta be, I know.
Got to be other opportunities. And you go out there and you try, and you're like, yeah, there are.
Every once in a while you find a unicorn.
Yeah, but no, I have advocated for a lot of other people, especially when I was a principal role. But
yeah, you are.
I'm not good at negotiating for myself. I mean, this last negotiation, I guess I came back. I always come back and ask for a little more because that's what you got to do, right? And plus, since they were offering me less, but
see,
it's worked out well.
Cole, they talk to you. I asked for a raise, and for 2 weeks, nobody said a damn thing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That was so strange. That's what
I was ignored for months. I didn't hear for months.
And you asked? Well, at least you still had your job though, because I asked for a raise on a Wednesday and got forced to resign on a Friday.
Yeah.
And then get a letter, child. Then I got a letter saying, "Oh, you're going to be terminated anyway. But if you sign this letter, we'll pay you to come back and work for us for 2 months while you transition. Work.
Yeah, you train somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that because you're working with contractors, you think?
Child, this happened 3 weeks ago.
Oh, this isn't. Yeah, but I thought wasn't with Ace.
I'm sorry that happened.
I have heard of other people who
I am still working with Ace. Oh, this is a small group of families.
So it was somebody else. All right.
So I am still working with Philadelphia. I'm still working with Greater Philadelphia.
I find it, a lot of architects, particularly are passive aggressive. They don't know how to handle.
It's not an architect.